Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Chat with Lindsey and Neely.
Hey y'all, we have coffee today.
I have coffee
I
with,
have oh, go ahead.
just with cream. That's it.
Mine is just black decaf coffee.
Excellent.
I decided to not do
You're
a hot
fine.
chocolate.
Anyone
Well,
wants consistency in their life, just tune in
that's right.
to Coffee Chat.
Occasionally we change it, but the occasions are rare.
Yeah, yeah.
I love decaf coffee. I love hot decaf coffee. It has been rather warm here as of late, rather humid. Um,
Oh,
but
yes.
that does not deter me from my hot coffee choice.
Yeah, it's been a little humid here, but it's also been kind of overcast and cool for the last week. So,
Sure.
like in the 70s, and I'm like, I
Oh.
don't mind this at all. Like those occasional summer days where it's overcast and feels a
Yeah.
little bit like fall. I'm just like, ooh, this is so nice. And then it goes back to hot and it's summer, and so that's nice too, as long as it's not like too many of the same kind of day in a row.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. What's
but
new?
we expect that. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Um
fine.
let's say hello to everyone in the chat. So Jen is here, says happy hump day. And Jen sent me a message on Instagram and a comment, and I have not gotten back to you, Jen. So if you want to ask your question in the chat, if you want to, no pressure, but if you want to, go for it. I have been not able to answer a lot of comments and messages recently. You can probably still hear it in my voice, but I have some congestion going on. Over the weekend, I was sick with a cold, probably the first one in like a year, which is crazy. And so I was like, this is not fun. Why are we doing this? Why? Yeah, I had the whole fever, chills, achy, all of the things. So I'm pretty much feeling better now, thankfully, but I still have a little bit of the congestion in my face. My face doesn't work right.
That is
Um,
not fun.
so, yeah. And it's the summer. It's like that's not supposed to happen in the summer. What in the world?
Right.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
my husband brought it back from his trip. And so he came home and he's like, I think I'm getting sick. And he did. And then I was right on the heels of that. So we know exactly where it came from.
Way to go, Jeff. It's all
Yeah.
your
Thanks a
fault.
lot.
Down there helping
Blaze
people,
is
and then all of
here.
a sudden,
Hello, Blaze.
hi, Blaze.
Uh,
It feels like forever since I've seen Blaze pop up.
no,
Where have
yeah.
you been, Blaze?
Seriously. Yvonne is here, catching a live from Texas. Platte River Keto is here. Hot, muggy Western Nebraska. Yep, yep. It's hot and muggy. That's
It's
just
good for tomatoes.
one of us have. Oh yeah. I wish I had planted anything this year, but no. Our greenhouse is
Okay.
still not functional yet, and I can't plant anything without the chickens digging it up. So it's not worth
Sure.
wasting time.
Yeah, that's valid.
Yep. Sing It is here asking what's in the cups. We already answered it. We're on top of it today. Oh goodness.
We
Yep.
got this.
She's on top of it too. Says went back and we already said. Yep. We're getting in the groove of this.
We're
We
finding it. We're finding the rhythm. How long have
Rick,
we been doing this, Neely?
what time of year did we start? Was it?
I think it was like the winter when we started.
Yes, I think it was like January, maybe like after Christmas time.
Something I can't help but feel like it was maybe December, but it does
Maybe. Oh,
irrelevant specific date. But it's been a year,
it's
right?
yeah, over a year. Yeah. So I think
So
we're
we're
coming up
in the
on
thick of 2 years of doing this. That's crazy pants.
it is. But
Oh
I
my
was thinking, so
goodness.
we have had weeks where we've canceled, but we've never had a week where we were scheduled and we came on late. Have we? I mean, we've had ones where one of us wasn't available or one of us maybe
Yeah.
came late, but
Yeah.
we started at 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, whenever we said
Right.
we would. And I was like, you know what? I think that's
Feels
something.
pretty good.
I don't know
We
what it is,
can
but
be
it's something.
consistent.
It's consistency to some degree.
Right.
Oh, goodness. Progress and Transformation is here from New York City. Suzanne is here at work, but listening. And Blaze says she's been here, but just in the background.
Well,
It,
we love saying hi to you, Blaze.
it
We
makes me
really
feel
do.
good that you were here. I clicked on that.
That a
Med-
pneumonovirus?
Hubby brought it home at the end of June, got it 4 to 5 days after him. Aren't husbands generous? Yes. Although I find that kids are the most generous of all.
Yes.
They share everything. Yep. Yep. Evelyn is here, says hit the like button.
Oh,
Yes.
thanks for that, Evelyn.
Ellie is here. Hi, Ellie. Happy coffee chat time.
It is. I need a sip of coffee because may have been like actual sick, ill, but I felt like the allergies just kind of like sandpapering my throat. So
Yes. Yes.
take a
It's not
coffee sip,
fun.
people.
It's not fun. Okay,
Mm-mm.
well, I did have something that's been percolating in my brain. That's kind of what
Ooh, I love the
we do at
fairies
Coffee
percolating.
Chat is where something that's been like gnawing at me or I've been trying to figure out or think about throughout the week, and then I say it. And sometimes that helps me like think it through
Think
better
it through. Yeah.
and and then get everyone else's thoughts on it. Okay, so we've all heard of eating to hunger, right?
Yes.
Or what's the other term for it? Intuitive
Satiety? Oh.
intuitive eating.
Okay.
And that, and I definitely dabbled in that where you get the people saying, "Oh, we'll go back to the restrictive diet thing. Any restrictive diet where you just deny yourself is bad and you just need to eat intuitively."
Yeah.
So we've all heard that. I've dabbled in it, like, "Oh, that sounds so nice. Let's just learn how to do that." And then it's like, you go to a restaurant and just look at the entire menu and think, "What do I want?" And then you get it and you take 5 bites and you're like, "I think I'm full and I'm done." Like, it sounds so nice. It sounds great. Anyways, and I've
Very idyllic.
I've bought into that dream in the past and then, was like, well, maybe I'm broken. That doesn't work for me. But so I've been thinking
Yeah.
about like satiety and eating as much as our body needs. Because
Okay.
it's nice. And this is another one of those things that gets really simplified. Like your body needs a certain amount. If you eat that amount, your body will tell you to stop. And
Ideally.
that's A plus B equals C sounds so nice and so it makes so much sense. But the variables, the variables of what kinds of foods you feed your body will give completely different signals back.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about, because we talked about having a diet that's not restrictive. And
Yes.
meaning, not actually that it's not restrictive, but that it doesn't feel restrictive. Like you feel like you get to eat a variety of foods you like, and you get to eat until you're full. You're not white knuckling it through hunger and cravings, and it feels it feels free. It feels unrestrictive.
Sure.
I'm trying to think of how to say this.
It's really hard to sit there and take what's going on in your brain and verbalize it with context, with the
Exactly.
right intent, so that people understand the wavelength that you're on. So we're going to offer you tons of grace as you
See,
say your next statement.
this is a live stream. If I was to make a video about this, I probably would think and like write things down. But this is like getting it out. So I want to get everyone's ideas on this
It's a
too.
brain dump.
So and we kind of talked about this before, where I was mentioning I've been on unrestricted diets before, where I eat all
Yes.
kinds of different foods, but my body in response like starts calling for more foods, or I ate something sweet, now I need something savory, and like the back and forth. And what
Yes.
kind of a way, so I've been thinking about what kind of way do we need to eat such that our bodies give us the signals of how much we actually need to lose weight or maintain weight. Because I know if I start eating a certain type of food, which is highly palatable, very processed, lots of sugar and fat together, my body will start telling me that I need to eat more because it wants to go into a weight gaining time.
Mode.
Like that's natural, and that's actually a good thing ultimately in the grand scheme of history and the way our bodies work is when we come across some really good source of nutrition and calories and fat and carbohydrates, our bodies they have this natural mechanism that's like, eat as much as you can, gather as much of it as you can, store as much of it as you can, like have it for a long time. And that's good and fine, but that's not the reality that we want to live in every day here in America. And so I'm
Yeah.
thinking about what kind of a diet do I need to eat that will allow my body to give the signals of you've had enough
Yep.
at a level of, energy intake that is appropriate for losing or maintaining weight.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is different for lots of different people. It's different for everybody because I hear people say, I eat a vegan diet or a very plant-based diet, even if it's not completely vegan, with tons of fibrous vegetables, lots of starch, and very little fat. And I'm able to eat tons of food, and it still ends up being a low amount of calories, and I lose weight. We all know lots of vegans who are thin and they lose weight. And so there's something about that diet that they're able to eat fewer calories and still be, like eat as much as they want, basically. And then some people on carnivore, it's like the meat is so satiating to them and the fat is so satiating to them that they're like, and people say it all the time, I end up eating so few calories. I have to actually work really hard to eat so many calories. And then, same people, some people on keto feel that way. But then there's also the opposite for each and every one of those diets where they're like, I was on the keto diet and I've been there where I'm like, I'm eating more than 3,000
All the
calories
fat.
a day and I still feel not satiated. I don't feel satisfied in a certain way. And so like trying to figure out what your body needs in order to find that balance and not
Yeah.
get sucked into like, oh, well, I've been told by smart people that fat is the most satiating macronutrient, and therefore eating the diet I'm eating should make me satisfied. So I'm just going to keep doing it because that's what I was told. When in reality, and I'm speaking from my own experience, when in reality, I didn't feel satisfied eating that way. I was like, I have this information that I believe and it should
Yeah.
be, doing what it said, but I'm not feeling that way. So I've been really thinking about hunger and satiety and how we can um, build our own diet such that it automatically does for us what we want. Because we can um, we can micromanage macros,
Everything.
calories, and like I could force myself to eat a certain calorie level that keeps my weight at a certain level, for the rest of my life. But that takes a lot of work. I would rather think about what kinds of foods can I put together and how do I need to put them together such that when I just eat that way, my body sends me the signals that are
We're
appropriate
here.
for
Yeah. We're
what we
done. Or we need more. Yeah.
yeah. So anyways, that's kind of like the overarching idea. What do you think?
Yeah. So my gut reaction is that's a pipe dream that
Oh, sure, yeah.
that we all want, right? We just want to be able to like eat the way we want to and make it simple. and make it easy. And there's just like this common recurring comment that I not comment just like statement that I've been hearing like around the internet, that if it's not easy, you're doing it wrong.
Oh,
And I
mhm.
can't help but think that easy, like you've brought up from Dr. Jade Teta numerous times, easy is earned.
Yes.
And I think that we all too often focus on like, what do we want to be easy, and not necessarily the stepping stones to make it easy. And then
Mm.
there's sort of this lie that we perpetuate when we say like, I can easily follow a way of eating, and I'm on autopilot. I don't have to think about it. It's not stressful. It's not hard. Um, and that concept just keeps getting perpetuated, and people only pick up the part that they're desperate for, or that they, have some sort of like intense reaction toward. And so they miss the front part of it needing to be like steps to get to that place.
Yes.
I'm reading Dr. Jade Teta's Next Level Metabolism book. I don't know
Yes.
if you've read that one yet.
I have it, but
Um,
I haven't read it yet. I should.
yeah, it's the first part a little bit more of a slow read that I actually like really like, because it's very technical and
Mhm.
very biochemically specific, and I
Mhm.
like that a lot. But it means that it makes my brain slow down, and um, the remainder of the book is not quite so scientifically technical as the first part. But I just really appreciate the concept that he's really driving home at the beginning, is that you have to be the detective for yourself, and being a detective doesn't mean that you get to the answer, like you don't solve the mystery easily. Like there's a lot of effort that you put into it, almost, to the point where it feels like it's a part-time job. um, but it's like we all want to get there. So you just have like just persistence, honestly. Like I think that that's sort of like what feels like the progression of getting too easy, or getting to that sort of intuitive spot. It's just persistence. For me, I don't overthink what I eat, because I've gotten to an automatic place of course, I'm just going to eat like keto friendly things. I've done this so repetitiously for so long that I can choose autopilot and still just maintain. I'm not where I ideally would like to be, so I should probably take a page out of your book of thinking a lot more intentionally about these like steps to take toward a more ideal place for myself. But at the moment,
Hey,
um,
yeah, it's
that's
a progression, and
that's a
it is.
lot of words.
Yeah, and it is a lot of work, and like you said, you just kinda keep trying to figure it out. Have you ever heard of Marty Kendall?
No.
He is, I think he's from Australia or New Zealand. He has an accent. Anyways, he's kind of in the camp with Ted Naiman. Do you know Ted Naiman's work?
I would need to like see these people to be able to be like, yes, that sticks with me.
Yes.
Names are hard for
Okay,
me.
so the they're very much about satiety and about
Uh-huh.
how
Okay.
to formulate your diet in order to get the most satiety per calorie. That's what their thing is. There's been some drama about that whole that whole thing recently. But it's like you can eat these highly processed foods and they have tons of calories, but they don't give you much satiety. It's like you eat a donut and you're hungry.
Oh, I thought you were going a different direction with that, and I was going to be like, that's what they're promoting.
No, 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 no. No, and so on the opposite end of that is what like find where you need to have your macros basically in order to get the most satiety for the least amount of calories. And so
Okay. Okay.
the biggest thing that they talk about is percentage of protein. So it kind of falls into line with the protein sparing modified fast thing, although they
Okay.
don't. I think they think that the PSMF is is fine, but that's not their main thing. Anyways, it's gonna
Sure.
like figure out where you need to be on this spectrum in order to basically what I was talking about, like get your body to give you the right signals, not to
Sure.
put your hunger into overdrive. And so it has to do with their percentage of protein. If you have low percentage of protein, less than your body needs, your body will keep, asking for more
Demanding
food until
food.
it gets, and protein comes along with carbs and fat. So if you eat this really low percentage protein diet, you're going to end up eating a ton of carbs and fat in order to get there. Whereas if you increase the percentage of protein in what you're eating, you might find that satiety a little earlier and not get so many energy calories that maybe are unnecessary. So protein
Okay.
percentage, and then like fiber and water. So eating, fibrous vegetables, eating a huge salad with your protein rather than just eating the protein by itself is probably it's gonna fill your stomach up more and you're gonna feel more full, and maybe stops you get more satiety per calorie. And then
Okay.
nutrients, Marty Kendall, it's really interesting him talking about different nutrient hunger, hunger for calcium, hunger for, this or that, and your body will continue. And I've definitely experienced this before where it's like your body's looking for something, and if it doesn't get it, it's going to keep, you need to go back to the fridge,
Requesting.
back to the fridge. And when you go back to the fridge, it's coming along with all these energy calories that maybe you're sufficient on, but it's because it needs whatever nutrients. So protein, fiber, and water. So the water part of that one was like, a dehydrated uh,
State.
raisin is not going to satiate you as much as a grape
A
that's
plump
full,
grape.
has all that stuff, or pork rinds that are completely dehydrated is not going to satiate you as much as maybe a pork belly, that's cooked a different way. Like just because it's dehydrated, it doesn't fill up your stomach.
Sure.
So there's a whole bunch of different. It's been fascinating. So I encourage anyone to go check out Marty Kendall's work. He has
Okay.
a Mighty Networks group. He has a blog. He has a Mighty Networks group, and he has so much free information on there. And he talks about all these different kinds of hunger and different kinds of satiety and how they all play together. Because I've heard just eat lots of fibers, vegetables, and you won't be hungry. And so I've tried that before. That's not the only thing. Like I understand that it does do
Yeah.
something, but it's only just part of the whole picture. So like finding all these
Sure.
little tricks and um, tweaks that you can make with your diet to actually feel satiety.
Yeah.
Um, and it's been really interesting. And I've been having a lot of fun doing it and really feeling the effect of it. Like,
Okay.
yeah, messing with, how I'm balancing my meals. And then
Mhm.
going back to like getting rid of preconceived notions, um,
Yeah.
especially after working with Jonathan and adding in carbs. Like I'm
Yeah.
realizing that there is a certain amount of carbohydrate, like legit carbohydrate, starch, sugar, from fruit, that kind of thing, that really ramps up my satiety to a degree that
Interesting.
I don't eat as many calories. So now that I'm eating around 100 grams of carbs per day, I don't if I just eat as much as I want, I don't end
Mhm.
up eating as much as I did when I was eating lower carb, because there's a certain
Interesting.
degree of satiety that I am getting from the carbs where I'm not eating that extra 50 grams of fat or whatever it was. It's been really interesting.
Well, that is interesting, and as a detective of yourself, you've, found that, that sort of, like, adjustment has made a change for your satiety.
Yeah,
I wanted to pause in the midst of this discussion and see if we could answer this. What is satiation? And can it be measured? Is it really a mindset? And we've talked satiety, satiation,
yeah,
satisfaction, any of those kind of synonyms to satiety. So would you be able to offer up some kind of a working definition for the term satiation or satiety?
Yeah. Okay. So actually, satiation and satiety, according to Marty Kendall, are two different things.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Satiety is the feeling of fullness after a meal. So
Okay.
it's like right when you finish the meal, like how
Physiological feeling, not mental feeling, right? Okay.
both. I think because
Oh,
like I said, it's been fascinating to find out all the different kinds of hunger. So
sure.
cravings, munchies, stomach hunger, mental hunger, like they all you can't just say, "Oh, one's just mental and so I need to just ignore it." There are physical things that cause you to think about food. And
Yes.
what you eat can affect that. And so that's one thing
Mm.
that I've been finding is when I eat these certain ways and, figure out, these little tweaks for my own diet, I don't even have to like, I don't think about it. Like, I don't even want to eat. Like, it's not like, "Oh, I know my stomach is full, but I still want to eat, but it's just mental hunger, so I will." It's like
Sure.
and this no this, concept is talked a lot about with the Ozempic and the semaglutide drugs, talking about
Okay. Uh-huh.
noise. And there
Sure.
are ways that you can eat to reduce food noise. And I mean, it's very complex. And so I'm not going to, say any blanket statements for everybody, but it's like just having cravings all the time, even if they just feel mental and not like physical hunger,
Yes.
that can be affected by it's not just a mental
A
disorder.
physical, sure. There's like a physical lack of some specific thing
Okay,
in your
so
diet.
back to back to Jared's question. So
Yes.
satiety is how
Going
you feel
back.
at the end of your meal, like how much food it takes to feel like I'm done eating. Satiation is how long it keeps you until you're hungry again. So
Okay.
in between meals. And I'm pretty sure I got that right. I mean, I may not have, but from what I remember, that's so those are two different things. So like the veggies that we talked about, like eating a big salad is going to fill up your stomach faster. That might get you to satiety at the end of the meal faster, but it may not keep you for longer, So
Okay.
and what might keep you for longer would be adding more fat to your meal.
Sure.
So, like, for me, um, adding fat to my meal, I don't think it well, I'd have to think about it, but it's like you kinda have to figure that out. With adding carbs to my meal, that gives me satiety for longer, which goes
So
against what
satiation
like
then.
yeah, sorry, I messed up my terms.
The terms are so similar. It's hard to really like decipher which could mean what. And I didn't realize that there was like a valid difference when using those words. And we like to commonly say that words have meaning. So
That
when
is
we use our
true.
words, it helps us to better understand each other. So,
That is true. So
so
I think it gives
that's interesting.
satiation for longer, and when
Okay.
I, um but if I were to just eat a protein sparing modified fast meal, it
Hmm.
would I would probably get to satiety pretty quick because when you're just eating protein and veggies, I mean, I'm like, "I'm done." Like, I'm not eating for
Yeah.
I only eat until my stomach is full and then I'm done. But then, like, an hour or 2 hours later, that satiation might wear off pretty quick.
Sure.
So, like,
Sure.
figuring out the balance of what you need, for, um, both, like, what can you do to, um, enhance both to the whatever your body can get to, like
Right. Because it's
yeah.
ideal that we eat like, I mean, well, everybody has a perspective on how many times to eat per day is ideal. But
Mhm.
generally speaking,
Mhm.
about 3 meals a day is what probably the average person is doing, I think. I could be off on that. That's just in my mind.
So, I mean, probably the average person in America is eating like 6 times a day or 8 times a day, but
Sure. Sure. But
yeah.
maybe there's enough O matters to really
Yeah.
take over that particular statistic.
I try to eat
But
6 times a day.
yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like you want to eat a significant portion of your calories, a third of your calories or more for, for that breakfast meal, and let that stretch you to another, like a midday point,
Yeah.
which, could be anywhere between 4 and 6 hours. And then let that stretch you to dinner meal, which should be 4 to 6 hours later. And so it's like you want to balance out. I feel so full, I could not eat another bite, along with like, okay, it's burning off, or it gives me that sensation for a long enough period of time that I don't feel ravenous whenever I'm just trying to make it to my next meal time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's
Um,
fascinating.
yeah. Okay,
And the
let me
concept of food noise is interesting too. But yeah, let's go ahead and see what everybody's talking about in the chat real quick.
yeah, the food noise conversation is really interesting, and with
Yes.
the stuff that I've been experimenting with, there have been days where I'm like, if someone told me this is how taking Ozempic feels, I would believe them because of how
Okay.
much it was gone. Like,
Yeah.
and I will say, this experimenting that I'm doing with this is with the foundation of having worked on my gut, having, uh,
Yes.
like all of these other things that I've been doing, like getting my nutrients in a decent place. Like, and
Yeah.
looking back, I can see like trying to do this when everything was out of order, I wouldn't have been able to, make any headway. But with all that, foundation there, now that I'm like playing with these little levers, it's been really fascinating. And like I've been able to see these satiety differences and satiation
Yeah.
differences. Yeah. So anyways, let's see. Ellie says eat until it doesn't taste good. Yeah, and that works great on
That
carnivore.
doesn't work.
Well, for some people, it works great on carnivore, but, the whole standard American diet
I was
world,
gonna say,
that's what they do, and look at where we got. Like, you grab a bag of
eat
potato
the
chips
Oreos till
a
they
long
don't
time ago.
taste good.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can find a set of foods or a set of macros where you're able to do that, that's, I think,
Yeah.
where you find the magic. And for some people, that is carnivore. That's what Anthony Chafee says. That's his,
Uh-huh.
recurring thing. And it obviously works for him fantastically. And it works for a lot of people that way. So it's like, but
Kelly
trying to
Hogan.
make your own personal. But then I hear other people say, that are on carnivore say, I could sit down and eat 3 tomahawk ribeye steaks and I still feel like I could eat more, or I could down, all the cheese in the fridge and, still be hunting for more. And so
Cheese is its own special category of
true.
food, I feel.
It's true.
It's a
So
very
anyways, it's
special
like
one.
trying to find what you need to do where you can say, I eat as much as I want until it doesn't taste good anymore. And your body does what you want it to do in response.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
and yeah, Jared had asked the question, is it just mindset when it comes to satiety, satiation, all of those satish words?
Mhm.
And, like you said, like there's different types of hunger, and some sort of a mental hunger might be stemming from a physiological requirement, like if you need more calcium or if you
Yeah.
need more magnesium or something to that effect, there could be a trigger to your mindset to say like, I'm just so hungry,
Yes.
um, even though you've had enough calories. So that's an interesting sort of like, um, no, I don't want to say balance, but like an equilibrium to try to figure out. Although equilibrium and balance
Yeah.
are like synonymous,
Well,
but
and I do think it gives you some more grace for yourself because I know I've been in the place where it's like I'm counting calories and I'm still hungry and I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like I could I ate this much already. I should not need any more. Yet I all I can think about is whatever, is in the fridge. And
Sure.
like there's something broken and wrong in me. But when you think about all the reasons that I might still have all that noise in my head about food, and there are so many reasons, like it could be a ton of
Right.
different things, but it can give you a little bit more grace for yourself and be like, "Okay, I need to work on my nutrient balance, I need to work on my gut health," like, though all of those things could be at play that are not moral issues necessarily.
Right.
It's just, it's like you can take away the, self-hatred or the self-doubt or whatever.
Loathing.
Yeah, and just be like, "Well, what does my body actually need?" Um, and there could be all kinds of different things. And yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, just Jason Keto is here. Hello. Um, da, 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 da. Um, I was gonna mention that this whole idea of appetite correction, which is kind of what I don't know if that's the right term, but like the satiety, like figuring out your satiety and figuring out how to eat to get your brain to give you the right
Accept
signal.
it.
Some people get it through fasting, and the appetite
Sure.
correction term was from Brent. I forget who it was. Somebody had that title of a book, and it was all about eating 1 meal a day, I think, or some kind of like you have to find your fasting window, and that resets your hunger and appetite, and your body starts giving you the right signals. And I know that, Mindy
Sure.
Pelz has talked about that, like, that regulating your appetite. So some people find that just, condensing their eating window takes away that food noise, and then for other people, it has the exact opposite effect.
Um, Appetite Correction, The Power of Appetite Correction by Bert Herring.
Bert, that's it, Bert Herring, yes, yes.
I love the internet. We can find all the things so fast these days.
Yeah, well, and I definitely have when I did do, more, intermittent fasting, I noticed and I read his book, and I tried to do his program, in the past,
Mhm.
and I did notice that if I were to I forget how he did it, if it was fasting all day or eating just super low calorie one day, like one low calorie meal a day, and then you just eat regular the next day, that the next day you don't have excess hunger, your hunger is like reset. I did notice that that was the case for me. It was just getting through the fasting time that was like pulling out teeth.
Sure.
So, um, there is something that, and I've definitely experienced it, but it's like finding a way to incorporate that into normal life. I couldn't manage that amount of fasting to get that effect on the off
Mhm.
days. It was just it didn't work. So anyways, there's lots of ways. That's what I'm trying to say. There's lots of different ways that work for different people. Oops, I didn't mean to do that.
Mhm.
Recess says dropping in for a couple minutes, got to go to work in 25 minutes. So that means she's probably already gone.
Yeah,
Um,
she's skedaddled.
Sing It says, I can overeat fat, very broken. The diet building strategy would be very helpful. Yeah, I think a lot of people can overeat fat. I mean, I know some people
Yes.
can't, but especially in the keto world where we have all of these delicious recipes with cheese, fat bombs, pork
Oh, fat
belly,
bombs.
dressings, like you can make a salad that is a fat bomb very easily, like avocado, olives, lots of dressing, cheese, bacon crumbles, like
You
that's
can make a coffee that's a fat bomb.
yeah, I think a lot of people can, and a lot of keto doctors talk about this where it's like in the beginning of your keto journey, like go for it. Go all in on the fat. Like eat as much as you need, much as you want. But then a lot of
Mhm.
people find that as time goes on, it's not just a free food anymore. Like you can't
Sure.
just and some people can, like, and that's it's everybody is different. But a lot of people, kind of have to pull back on the fat a little bit at least in order to get their body to where they want it to be. But I don't think you're broken. I think that's normal.
Well, and I think that also kind of demonstrates the concept that we also tend to ignore on a way of eating, that like, oh, it's so easy to just swap out your carbs for fat. Like it's so easy. But
Yeah.
the earned part of that is the fact that you pay attention to where you are in that cycle of going from one style of eating to another.
Yeah.
And sure, it's the training wheels to get you into a different way of eating, but you don't ride with your training wheels all the time, because that really, like, you can't ride as fast as you possibly could if you
Yeah.
got rid of the training wheels and were riding, like a 14 speed bike. So it's
Yeah.
that can be your training wheels to get onto a two-wheeler, but then you got to let them go so that you can move faster,
Yeah.
or at least know how when to take off a bit of that.
Yeah. And I mean, not everyone is like this. And I envy people who are like, oh, I just can't eat that much fat. Like, "Oh, it's just so rich. I can't do it." And I'm like, "I've never had that problem. I don't know what that is." I 'Cause I can eat fat
All of
bombs
it.
all day, I could eat, fatty coffee all day and ribeyes and cheese. I mean, seriously, like, it's easy for me. And so,
Yeah,
for me, adding in the carbs gives me, a satiation and a satiety, both, um, that I don't have to well, I'm able to get the satiation and satiety at a lower calorie amount, and so I don't, um, I just don't eat as much fat. Like, I don't need as much to get that satiation. Now, the trick is not to, like, jump into carbs and fat together at the same time because
sure.
it can be really easy to just eat a bag of potato chips like that. They're just, I mean, so
They're addictive on
eating
purpose.
strategically, like when I'm adding in these carbs, it's like I can't just eat all the carbs in every
Right.
form because I have to be really careful
Mhm.
about what form I eat them in and the amount that I eat to get the optimal amount of satiety. Because as soon as it's like there's like a satiety index of different foods that they've measured or studied or whatever, and potatoes are like number 1, far and above the most, and I forget if it's satiety
Sati
or satiation or both. Like they
They're a very filling food that makes people
yeah, and
feel
I think it
full.
was that they gave I think it was that they gave people a certain amount of a food, like 100 grams of a food, and then
Okay.
measured how long it was until they were hungry and came back for something else, and it was like potatoes held people, I think it was satiation because they weren't yeah, I think it was satiation. Anyways, as soon as you turn those potatoes into potato chips, the score went down, way down. Like, it was dramatically different. So, like, the combinations of food really make a difference as well.
Matter.
It's kinda like eating a plain burger patty. It's like, yeah, it's good and you'll eat a certain amount of it, but as soon as you put bacon and cheese and a bun and, all the sauces and stuff, it's like you can eat way more calories easily, like, without even trying, and it may not even hold you as long afterwards. I mean, it's just so fascinating. So, anyways,
Yeah.
I'm still, looking at it and
Muddling through, figuring it out.
how it makes sense for, me, but I've been really happy with what I have been experimenting with and kind of figuring out about myself and what I need. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been doing a lot more deep thinking about this than I have as of late.
Oh, well, that's fine.
Like,
Seasons
I'm reading
of life.
yeah. But I can't help but think like, "Oh, I would really love to achieve, a higher level of optimal self," because I'm not at my optimal self right now, and I don't know that my optimal self for this world.
Yeah.
Um, but also it's like, I there's so many moving pieces. So, nutrient density on your food choices, whether it's your macronutrients or your micronutrients that your body is requiring. But then also like all of the little messengers throughout your body, your hormones, like those play a factor as well. So if like you see yourself eating in a way that has worked for as long as it has worked, and you haven't really changed much in that area of variability or of, variables, then it's time to look at other issues that could be hanging out and lingering, and just got to like go in and just sort of detective your,
Yeah.
sleuth it out for
Yeah.
every section of these different variables that could be going on. Um, so right now I'm not as hyper fixated on the food part. So having you discuss this concept, it's putting a lot more thought into my head about maybe I do need to be a lot more mindful and stop autopiloting my daily food choices.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and it's not meant to be a burden or anything. It's like if this would make your life,
Sure.
it's like we talked about
Sure.
easy is earned is like, is this something that it's worth putting in the work to get to some other level of easy? You know?
Sure.
Um,
Well, I I hurt myself this past week. And so I hurt my back,
mm,
which is not something you want to mess with.
no.
So it's one of those things where I would like to earn the easy to be able to like go trim rose bushes without having major back pain issue happen and claiming, well, I guess I'm 40 now, so that's just what happens. Like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. Instead, we can, take care of all of these little groupings of variables within our health to be able to say, like, oh, I can just go out and take care of everyday maintenance things that need to be taken care of without feeling like you've completely ruined yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I will mention that another big thing that Marty Kendall does and offers is something called data-driven fasting. And
Okay.
it's not really fasting, it's more, and someone else coined the term data-driven eating because yeah, it's not really, I don't know. Uh that's been really interesting. That's not something that I have gotten into, although I did do something similar years ago. And it's basically using a blood sugar monitor to
Oh, I
inform
remember when
you,
you did this.
yeah, to inform you if you should eat or not, or what you should eat. So he calls it hunger training, which is really interesting. Um, and so you basically you take your blood sugar before you,
Readings.
and if it's high and they you, anyways, he has this whole like free app, and the manual for this data driven fasting is free. Like you can get all of this on his website.
So
It's
he really believes in this if he's willing to just like give it away.
yeah, I mean he does have paid things that he does like groups and things, but a lot of the stuff he has is for free. So anyways, the idea is if your blood sugar is high for you and it's personalized to you, that means you have enough fuel for your body to use right now. And so either you don't eat at that point, or if you're actually legitimately hungry, you just eat kind of like a protein sparing modified fast meal where it's just protein and veggies and don't give it more
Hmm.
fuel because it has enough. And then um, you kind of learn your hunger and learn to um, get kind of know what your blood sugar status is, and you train your hunger to actually just, I don't know. It's really interesting, and it's something that it might be fun to play with at some point. I haven't had the wherewithal to do it because I did something similar before, and he references the gal that I actually followed before.
Yeah.
Her thing was don't ever eat if your blood sugar is above 90. It was just like across the board for everybody. And that I couldn't handle because I would be so hungry and my blood sugar would never get, low enough. And so it didn't work for me. And it didn't even end up working for her. Like she abandoned it completely. But Marty Kendall's approach is different enough where if you are legitimately hungry, like having hunger, just go ahead and have, that protein focused meal and wait
Mm.
until your blood sugar is lower before you have something with carbs or with a lot of fat. And it somehow like trains your satiety and trains your blood sugar to go lower and lower. Which is it's kind of fascinating.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So
I feel like it's a bit of a struggle
oh yeah. I mean it
to
definitely is
think through that.
it's one of those, it would take work to get to the easy.
Well, and I tell you, like I don't want to step out of turn with him because I have not like listened too much, obviously. If
Yeah,
anything, I'd have to see who he is in order to be like, oh, okay, I remember who he is.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But data-driven fasting sounds good on the surface. Like, okay, I have a simple formula to follow. If this, then that. My struggle with that is when we only make decisions based on the test
Oh,
rather than taking the holistic person into account. Like, what happens if your blood sugar is so high because of some stress that you have going on, but your body is in fact actually hungry? I appreciate that he's saying like high protein, you know,
yeah,
feed your body that if you are genuinely hungry. Whereas whenever you had gone through the whole like only eating to the blood sugar number, that it's like very allopathic and we only treat things that are with outside the parameters of normal on a
yes,
blood test
yes,
rather than saying what are also the symptoms. Like let's look at this as a holistic picture. So like
yeah,
the moment you're sitting here talking about it, I'm feeling like some kind of like a rise up of just like
yeah. Well,
because I see that.
he does have a thing. So when you get started, you do something called baselining, where you just eat your normal meals and you take your blood sugar before, I think, and after, like a few different times, and it calculates your own personal glucose trigger. So it's not just some
Okay,
arbitrary number that, for everybody. It's like
sure.
if
Like
your blood
90.
sugar runs high, it will start out, adjusting it based on what your pre-meal glucoses are. And then as you do, so you do that for 3 days, and then it gives you a number that's personalized to you. And then that's what you use. And then as you put in your numbers from your pre-meal glucose, that trigger number will change and it'll go lower. And so it's like it's training, because that's what he talks about. It's hunger training. So you're like training your body to go to a little bit lower glucose before you feed it, basically. And so, and eventually, yeah. So it's like it's a train. So I get it though, but going on the number,
Yeah,
the big thing that I really appreciated was that he wasn't like, well, if the number's high, then tough luck, you have to
you're
start.
done.
No, it's like there
Right.
is an option. It's like your body just doesn't need the fuel right now, but it might need the protein and the nutrients, and you can get that from some meat and some vegetables, and you'll be fine.
Sure.
And then the next time it gets lower, then you can have your mixed meal. So
Sure. I mean, and Andy brings up an experience here for her. The the blood sugar raises 20 points, so she would
yes.
not be able to eat
Yes, and I have not
in
finished
certain
reading
periods
that
of
book
time.
yet, and I was gonna
Yeah.
ask exactly the same thing, like, because, like, I'm sick right now and I'm sure I haven't checked my blood sugar, but I'm sure it's higher because
Out
I'm
of whack.
sick, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"If you're sick, does that mean you don't need fuel? You just need protein?" I don't know. I really don't know. So that
Right.
I do wanna finish reading, so that I'm sure there's some, nuance in there for that kind of a thing.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
it's interesting.
And then yeah, Jen saying when she exercises, her blood sugar goes up. That's very
Yeah.
common. So I think understanding perhaps some more nuance, but also I like the concept of approaching something with a discerning posture so that it's like, okay, I have these real questions. Does this information answer those questions? And if not, can I find the answers? Because those are everyday things that people deal with, like working out, your blood sugar raises up a bit. Being
Yeah.
sick, there's some physiological adjustments there. So, and it's very easy to put those blinders on and say, well, I don't want to actually discern anything. I just want somebody to tell me exactly what to do. If my blood sugar is 90 or lower, I'm allowed to have food.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it's very fascinating,
It
and I'm
is.
I'm interested in looking into this a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah, it is, and the nice thing about it is that it's free information, that he offers, and then, I will say, like, I don't think he means that for everyone for all time should check their blood sugar before they eat for the rest of their lives. It's like you do
Sure,
like and that's what he offers as one of the paid things is like join us for 30 days of doing this and to
sure.
basically train yourself to know where your blood sugar is and then your hunger gets kind of adjusted to I'm hungry when I
Meet
feel these
that.
symptoms of low blood sugar rather than I'm hungry for other, it's a hunger training type thing. So you go through it, and then the goal, I think, is to trust yourself more, and to
Mhm.
know the things internally more, be able to eat more intuitively after you
Yeah.
gather the information about your body. So,
Mhm.
anyways, it's
This is
interesting.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see.
We did miss quite a few
I
people's
know.
discussion over there, and we're already at 57 minutes. This has been a good mental, like, stimulating conversation for me.
Yeah, yeah, it's been really good. Because we're all trying to just get it figured out here. No, none of us is
That's
like
right.
in
That's right.
authority
We're
or
all just
trying
working it out.
to necessarily change anybody's mind. It's just like, oh, this is interesting. Like, let's try this, see what where we if we get anywhere. Maybe we won't get anywhere. That's
Right. Perfectly true. Like, you just don't know.
let's see.
I
Um,
like I like this technique, right? Oh, go ahead.
oh,
I'm sorry. I
no,
just,
no,
like,
no, you go.
took over you.
That's fine. Go.
Data driven David I can't even read it. You read it.
My data-driven eating is this: if my pants get tight, I will eat less. If that's working for you, that's what you should do. That's Jeff's too. That is 100% Jeff, where yeah.
That is really useful for men.
Jeff's like, I'm up a pound. I need to eat, one less meal today. So, 3 meals instead of 4. No, he can be very disciplined when he, is working on a health goal for sure. And he works
Yeah.
very hard, so he eats a lot because he
Sure.
a lot. So, anyways, okay, I was gonna put this one up from Yvonne. I tried PSMF, but I found that I can it's easier to do alternate day fasting
Alternate day
with PSMF,
fasting.
but I have to be super busy on the fasting days. Yeah. And so I've noticed this about myself because I tried like I forget what it was called, but like eating PSMF for breakfast and lunch and then eating a regular keto dinner. I found that that
Mhm.
didn't work for me at all. I didn't get the satiation or satiety effects of the high protein when I didn't
Mhm.
finish my day with it. Like, I find that if I do an entire day of PSMF or lean day style eating, the next day I get, um, the food noise is down and I'm not as hungry. I'm not as hungry for the day. Same as I would get with the, Burt Herring fasting, but
Yeah.
I only got that effect if I, like, went to bed and slept,
Not having eaten.
not having eaten either not having eaten or not having eaten a lot of fat, like doing the PSMF for the entire day, which is really interesting.
Hmm.
That's been something that I was like, if I ever do, like PSMF style or anything like that, like I found for myself, it has to be ending the
Lean
day.
all the way through.
Yeah, I can't end my day with a feast in order
Yeah.
to get that effect on my appetite the next day.
Mm.
So it's very interesting.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. Do you see any other questions that we need to get to? I'm
Sing
trying.
It did ask for the author and name of the book again, and I don't know. I'm not sure if she's talking about Marty Kendall and his program that you're discussing, or if she's talking about Bert Herring, who wrote The Power of Appetite Correcting or Appetite
Appetite
Correction.
correction, yeah. Let's
The
see.
Power of Appetite Correction. So if you've got a way to pop a link in there, this is what the book looks
Oh yeah,
like.
that's that one. So Marty Kendall, he wrote a book a few years ago called Big Fat Keto Lies, if you want to get
Okay.
controversial. But I haven't read that book, but from what I
This book's not
understand,
cheap.
yeah. Did you say it's not cheap?
Yeah, it's $22,
Yeah,
$21.
I think it's like self-published or something. But you could get it
Oh,
on
okay.
Kindle. I think it's on Kindle Unlimited for free if you have that.
Oh,
And then I think it was $2.99. I think I purchased it. It's very cheap if you want to get it digitally.
okay.
Anyways, I think a lot of what he talks about in that book is the idea that fat doesn't make you, like the myth that fat can't make you fat and you can eat as much fat as you want. It's only the carbs that are the problem, that kind of thing. He kind of pushing back against that idea. Um,
Sure.
yeah, and he's big on the protein and yeah. So
Well, and that whole concept is no different than, how you start the race is not necessarily how you finish a race.
sure, yeah, yeah.
When you're thinking of like runners, they don't start a marathon sprinting. They
Okay.
they start it in a certain way and then they move throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
So there's so many analogies. So
Yeah.
many analogies.
So many. So Optimizing Nutrition is the name of his blog, Marty Kendall's blog.
Optimizing
I just
nutrition.
put a link in the chat. And on there you should be able to find all of his books, and the Mighty Networks has
Information at all.
a ton of information on it, but then also the blog has a ton of information. And you can find that data-driven fasting like PDF
Protocol.
that you can just download for free. I don't remember where it is, but anyways, he has tons and tons of stuff. You can like I have been, could get lost in all of this information for quite some time. And I find it very helpful. Yeah. Do do do. Carl Keto Dog said, think of it this way. I feel satisfied because I reached the end goal of satiety through the ongoing process of satiation. Yeah. Crystal clear.
Clear as mud.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let me
That's
grab
like using a word to define itself.
yeah, exactly.
But it was good. It was good.
Yeah, so good. Oh, Fast 5 is also by Bert Herring. He was the author of the Fast 5 diet, and I can't
Okay.
remember all the details on that one. Oops. That. But I thought Appetite Correction was a better book from him.
Okay.
There we go. So put that in the chat. Just his book. I don't know if he has, Fast 5, the book, that one he was offering for free on his website for a while. So I don't know. You might look for that too if you just want to get something free. But his Appetite Correction is free on Kindle Unlimited also.
Mm.
So,
I think we've probably, I
do
don't
it.
think I saw anything else that was pressing.
Okay.
I I will say progress and transformation right here. She's 50 pounds away from healthy goal weight of 135, BMI of 23, 61-year-old woman, 5'3". I'm in the same club. Starting to contemplate life post weight loss, dreading
Yeah.
having to calorie count, weigh, and measure. I think that like we can end right here and take this topic to next week, perhaps,
Mm.
if that's something that you're good with. Because I feel like that could be a full discussion in and of itself that we could really kind of just sort of like talk about. We definitely won't have answers, but we can at least sort of like talk through the various spider web of thoughts that tend
Yeah.
to come along with that.
Like about what to do post weight loss and
Mm-hmm.
like how to maintain that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be great. Okay. Um, let's see. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We will be back next week. Same time, same place. And
That's the plan.
what?
Maybe.
Oh, oh.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Yeah. Probably at least one of us will be here next week, same time.